You are watching Xirtus.
So like the idea then you would accept that we're all part of like something kind of one, like you could use the word oneness in some respect.
So, I mean, I feel like there's might be some baggage on the term oneness. Like I'm totally fine with a monistic substance, right? I've told you before. Like I think that if we take all of like the varieties of reality, this combinatorial explosion, we can reduce it down to energy. Like everything, like there's one substance of energy. That makes sense. That energy creates everything. But I don't attribute like any special attributes like I don't attribute like godly agency to energy.
You
If
think
that
it may, but like you believe in maybe archetypes, like you were saying earlier. You think of like the god of war, like people can be warlike, and that's archetypical.
I don't believe energy has archetypes. I believe evolved creatures have archetypes. So like a lion has the archetype of the best lion. You know, a human has the archetype of the best, category of human. You know, archetypes evolution is pushing us towards, being our best so that we can survive and reproduce. And the archetype is a style, it's a type of strategy for a creature to embody. And
Hmm.
so energy doesn't have strategies, creatures have strategies.
So you don't think that nature produces those patterns that creatures are having strategies for? I mean,
Yeah, the nature, it's a complex co-evolution, right? Nature is kind of randomly, morphing over time, and then we have to like evolve to like fit nature, and there are certain strategies that help us fit nature better than others, and that's where the archetypes come in,
hmm.
right?
All right. You also had
So
thoughts you want. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
yeah, so just a philosophical
Elaborate.
distinction, emergence versus fundamentality. I would put the archetypes at the emergent level. So it's like all of the building blocks of evolution have to build us towards an archetype. It doesn't start at the bottom.
Okay, that seems pretty reasonable. So, like, yeah, that almost that. Hmm. We should get it. We should get back into that, talking about intelligences, like primordial intelligences, later. But I think we should talk more about consciousness because I know you kind of woke up with this sort of epiphany thought. I
Oh
think that
yeah,
would be
oh
good
yeah.
to. We should talk
Oh,
about
I
that probably
I
now.
need I need to get this off my chest. You have no idea.
Yeah.
Uh, um, I feel like consciousness is such a complex topic that it's almost like I need to rewind the context and I need to like there's like a meta conversation as like we need to talk about what consciousness is, get people on the
Right.
same page, and then like narrow down into my theory of consciousness. You know what I
Right,
mean?
because it's not because you're not because that's the thing. It's not the monadic reality. It's not like this universal archetypical. You're not saying that there's an. You're saying archetypes are emergent. So it's not this eternal intelligences. What is consciousness to you? Right? Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm pretty I lean heavily towards reductionism, which is basically the philosophy that everything can be broken down into its building blocks. So like a complex human is made of all the building blocks of the atoms, and within the human is a complex consciousness, and that consciousness can be broken down into tiny units of consciousness. And so those tiny units are often called qualia in philosophy. Qualia are the units, and qualia is etymologically similar to quality, right? So there's quantity and there's quality. So the atoms, the materials are the quantity. I have X quantity of atoms. And then inside my brain, inside my nerves, inside my body, I've got all these qualities: the quality of color, the quality of green, the quality of chocolate, the quality of, the taste, the sound, all these different qualities. The hard problem of consciousness is trying to figure out the relationship. How does quantity have a relationship with quality? Like, does one create the other or vice versa? What's going on with this? Yeah, it's a very ambiguous relationship. And the hard problem has not been solved, which is how that relationship works. But there's a lot of things we do know about consciousness. Neuroscience has been absolutely amazing at just teaching us tons of stuff about consciousness. And I think there's like If you learn about evolution, you learn about psychology, you learn about neuroscience, you learn about biology, learn about chemistry, you learn about physics. Once you have like this constellation of understanding, you can kind of like, consciousness is the gap, right? Well, we know about this, we know about all this. And it's like, you can kind of start to read between the lines, and there's little clues. It's like physics has a clue about consciousness. Biology has a clue. And we start to aggregate and organize all these clues, and it starts funneling us towards a theory of consciousness. That's what
a silhouette. All right.
Yeah. Because it's such a tricky problem, because it's almost untestable, right? In a way, it's not scientifically testable, but there are things that we can test. So the most important neuroscientific thing to understand is neural stimulation. Neural stimulation. I mean, everyone should know about this. It's so important. Basically, you can basically insert a needle into your brain, and you can stab a specific neuron with the needle, and you can hook the system up to an external battery. You can press a button. You can zap. Through the needle, you can create a flow of electricity that zaps and stimulates this neuron. And what happens when a neuron is stimulated? It outputs its neurotransmitters. So it creates a flow through your brain. You can artificially create consciousness within people's brains by artificial stimulation. So the important thing about that is it shows a causal relationship, right? If I press this button, I create this experience. That's literally causation. I do this and I cause that. Right? If I don't press the button, you don't get that experience, right? So because there's a causal relationship between the materials, right? We don't understand, like, if I zap you with all these materials, you get this qualitative experience. Okay, but how does quantity translate into quality? We know that one causes the other. The materials cause the consciousness, but we don't know how, right? That's the confusing part. And so I'm starting to develop a theory for how this works, a way to solve the hard problem of consciousness.
I'm listening.
Do you have any thoughts on that so far?
I mean, yeah, it's interesting. So you need to do it that way. So I still believe that we have a primordial consciousness and everything. So from one end of it, people feel like it's what faith, like people are like, oh, like I believe in it. But that's not good enough. I think it's important that people should be working from the other direction to figure out all the truths, the material truths about the thing. There's nothing wrong with knowing that, right? Like I think it's a good thing. So
when you say primordial consciousness, do you mean like you think that there's a intelligent mind that's at the beginning, at the foundation?
Yeah. I think that kind of accounts for the idea of God as well. Like this idea that everything that exists, space and time, as it expands outwards and as it continues, this idea of time, that eventually that this is all inside of and made of. It's made of the thing that's thinking it or that's being it, both, right? And so the being it includes sensorial awareness and accumulation that's beyond time, because time is in it. So everything that it knows is actually like known from the end to the beginning as it happens, right? So we're still moving forward, but that information is accumulated by something that's beyond time and able to like interact with it in ways we can't comprehend or perceive, which, that's explained by 10-dimensional string theory. It makes kind of the most sense to me. Like that time is symmetrical, right? Like time is just symmetries itself.
Yeah, I don't have a huge issue with symmetry of time, but I do have a huge issue with like a fundamental intelligent mind that's primordial. So I'm curious, because you have a software background, so I feel like you could understand where I'm coming from. So I'm very curious what your response to this is, right? Like we've already designed intelligence within software, right? You're using algorithms to build these intelligent videos, music, like GPT. It's all algorithmic, right?
Right.
So to me, intelligence requires algorithms. Like that's how I view intelligence. Like you don't have intelligence without an algorithm, and algorithms require building blocks. You need like chain, if then. You need all of these structural building blocks that give you the algorithm. And so for me, you can't, I mean,
right. The thing needs a calculation in order to learn. So it's an interesting proposition because it kind of means at very least whatever this God is or an atheistic universe, creator relationship is, that thing is reflective rather than just constant. Like the idea that it knows everything forever is only plausible if it's constantly learning, but it's able to learn everything and use that from the beginning of time. Yeah. Because it's outside of time. So even though inside of time, at the end of the day, it learns something, now it can use that at the beginning of those days, which if you think of software, this is like if I play a video game and then I go back to a save state and I run through it again, right?
Yeah.
Every heartbeat of the sun in the constellations will survive.